So this is Mum, originally from the North Island of New Zealand and of the Maori culture. Yeah, those guys. And naturally, you would automatically think she's about 6 foot 8 foot 12, which is not the case. And as a result, she continues to refuse to ride in the 2020 Trail Boss due to some recent modifications. That is, however, until now. Week after week, I get a pretty consistent request. It's to install amp Research Powersteps on our 2020 Silverado. Undoubtedly the best on the market. And we did not just get ourselves any amp Research Powersteps, we got ourselves the Powersteps XTREME, because that's clearly so much better than just a regular one. So guys, aloha and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my little piece of paradise, the Lonestar Hawaiian garage. And I'm super stoked for today because we're back again today with REALTRUCK, which is where these amp Research Powersteps are coming from. The funny thing about... Did you wipe out?
Yeah.
That's what he gets for playing on his little brother's toys. So super excited to be collaborating again today with REALTRUCK. To be honest, a lot of the modifications we have on our 2020 Trail Boss came from realtruck.com I bought over the last few years. So everything you see in today's video, as well as several other modifications you see on the truck, are available on realtruck.com. But to get started with this video and this install, we're gonna start with the bath because this thing is absolutely filthy, which would typically mean a 10-second montage of the next few hours of my life, but we're gonna try something new. I don't wanna do another montage because no one likes them. Well, it's nighttime now. That happened. Morning guys, so today's probably gonna play out like this. We're gonna spend this morning getting these amp Research Powersteps unboxed, reading the instructions, figuring out how to get them installed, and we'll probably be back tonight to actually get them on the truck. We're gonna spend the morning straightening up the garage, get these things unboxed, read the instructions, and we're also gonna go over here in a second what the difference is between the XTREME and just the regular amp Powersteps. Sweet! And here we are, guys. We have our amp Research Powerstep motor linkages here. These are sturdy as heck. I'm not surprised people parade about how great the quality is from amp Research. We have 4 motors that can connect to the linkages. We have our wiring harness as well as our control module and everything else we need on this project. We also have LED lights that are going to hook up to this system to illuminate our 2 massive texturized corrosion resistant steps that are going to be deployed every time you open a door on this truck. Now the difference between the XTREME version and call it the regular, I'll show you here just real quick on realtruck.com. We're gonna sort by our vehicle. I already have it here pre-populated. I'm gonna hit save. It's gonna kind of pre-filter everything that's available for my truck. Quite a few options that you guys can kind of toggle through. We have the amp Research running boards. As you see here, we actually got the upgraded version of this, which is the XTREME. And yes, it does cost a pretty penny. These are not cheap steps. But since myself, my wife, my kids are getting in and out of this truck several times a day, this to me is justified. It is not a cheap step, but they are the best on the market. Several different options you guys have. We went with the XTREME. We have the 2 additional motors. It's gonna help this pull up closer to the truck and also deploy in various conditions. And the steps themselves are pretty dang good looking, but quite a bit more rugged. So this is what we're gonna be using today. This is what we're gonna be installing. And as the instructions indicate, the skill level and experienced, like this idiot right here. So the first first step we are taking here is getting all the motors mounted up to the motor linkages. My fourth one sitting here, gonna show you how this is all setting up. I can't convey to you guys how solid this entire linkage is. This is massive. We have our gear set in there, we have our cover. You're gonna slide this cover over the top. You can't get this wrong if you put it on backwards. So flip that around, slide that tab in, sit it down over the top, and then we're gonna bolt on our motor to that gear set. So you're gonna slide that over, get those gears lined up, slide it in, and then we have our supplied hardware. Now we do need to torque these down specifically to 36 inch-pounds or 4 Newton meters. And I just found out that my Newton meter torque wrench doesn't go down that far. So what that's gonna entail is a quick new tool run early tomorrow morning, because I'm actually gonna torque these down correctly, because these things ain't cheap. Probably for the first time in the history of the channel, just because these are quite expensive. Now that we have the motors installed, something to note is there actually is 2 different types of linkages. You'll see that the motor is sitting somewhat parallel to the upright here on the linkage, where these, the motor sits more perpendicular. The reason is this is a type B, this is a type A linkage, and actually go in different spots on the truck. So the front linkage on the driver's side is a motor linkage B, and the passenger side is actually a linkage A, which means the other side is actually vice versa for the rear. So that's clear as mud, perfect, that's about where I'm at too. So this system is as plug and play as it can possibly be between the control module and the OBD2 port that controls everything on this system. So we're gonna hook it up to the battery, run it across the top of the engine bay, go up underneath. We got a little grommet we gotta poke through to get back into the cab. And then at the very end, we'll have to run some LED light wires, which I'm also excited about. Now this part's probably important since we are messing with the electrical system, the OBD2 port, the battery. It's probably wise to unhook the battery, so wires a new one. Boys, we're making progress. We have wiring hanging out the bottom of the truck on both sides. This has kind of been a pain in the butt to get to this point because I like things looking clean and essentially OEM-like. If you were to throw this thing together, it's really simple. Run it across, throw it underneath, down the wheel well, and then pop it out the bottom there. But as I ran everything, I wanted to be sure that I can kind of tuck this control module up out of the way where I don't really ever see it and I have full access if I need to service it. So what I actually did, instead of trying to shove it in here in between the battery box and the, I guess the side fender frame, I actually mounted it on the back side of the battery box. So at the very back, you have the bracket coming down up underneath the battery. It's mounted to the back side and all the cords run up and over underneath the upfitter switch kit here. So it's just essentially cable tied there, all the way down, up underneath that reservoir, and then down the side, kind of running along, I believe the brake line's here, down the inner fender, and then out the bottom through this little gap in the frame. It'd be kind of hard to see there, but that is where our cord comes through, and that's also where it routes a few other cables that run to the back of the truck. So we are now here on the driver's side. I made the mistake of trying to thread it through with just a coat hanger, sticking it up, tying it down, and trying to pull it through. That didn't work, and I just took out a few bolts in the fender liner, and it was so much easier just to crawl up underneath, kind of pull back the fender a bit, and then thread it through with my hand. And then we have our power cord to this terminal here, as indicated in the instructions. And then the ground, instead of grounding it actually on the battery, I like grounding it on the frame itself, so it's grounded right there. Had to clearance it just a little bit on the inside in order to fit that bolt. It's finally time to start mounting up our motor and motor linkages, which means I need to run real quick to Ace Hardware, and hopefully they have an inch foot-pounds or inch-pounds torque wrench, because I don't. Both motor linkages are installed. So they actually call for 16 foot-pounds, which actually surprises me. Got these cranked down. There is 2 bolts on each of these. You have one on the other side, one going into this I guess pinch weld frame rail type thing. And same on the other side. What was really cool, behind these little plastic caps are actually pre-threaded locations from factory. So I think that's what they use for like the step bars that come from factory that are really ugly. And actually what AMP Research does is utilize that same exact location, and that sucker is solid on there. Both sides bolted up, and we're ready to wire this thing in, plug it into the OBD2, and see if it works. Essentially, yeah, that's what we got left. So when it comes to the AMP Research steps, this is my first experience with them, and I've really never understood why they were so expensive. It's no secret amongst the aftermarket that these steps are probably the most expensive out there. Now, and with every single nut, bolt, and bracket as I installed it, I understand why they are so expensive. The fit, the finish is unmatched. I could not ask for more on any single piece, and it looks phenomenal. I wanna know what you guys think. He's excited about him. Shoots! Yeah. He's stoked about him. Actually, trying to climb up. I gotta finish the steps. You wanna finish them for me and I'll go outside?
Yeah.
Okay. Child labor these days. Total junk. All right, let's get these things finished up and see if they actually work. Please work. We're in. Okay, I just spared you quite a bit of boring footage. Essentially, we have two purple wires coming from the bottom into the cab. One has a black line on the purple wire, one's a solid purple wire. And you're gonna connect them to the OBD2 port connector, which also has a purple wire with the black line and a solid purple wire. Just connect those, tuck it up out of the way, up underneath this plate here, and we're good to go. And I'm actually really surprised how clean of a finish that is. You actually don't see it at all. I was worried that you're gonna be able to see this plug, but it's actually completely out of the way. And if you do need to use your OBD2 port, whether it's for scanning a check engine light or anything like that, you just simply pop this out and you plug whatever you need to in. So it's there, it's out of the way, you don't have to ever worry about it. It's solid. So what we're gonna do next is wire the LED lights. The first thing we're gonna do is measure in between the door. Typically you want the light to be centered on the door itself, so about 22 inches from the edge of the door here. We've marked that little gray Sharpie portion. What we're gonna do is take a center punch, hit that with the center punch to kind of guide my drill. We have a 1/8 inch drill. We're gonna drill a small hole, and then we come back with a 1/4 inch and make that hole larger. We have these rubber grommets that are gonna go into that hole to guide the wire through. And I also have automotive touch-up paint, the actual OEM color. So I'm going back after I drill it out with this and touching that center up with the actual color of paint to protect it from any corrosion, but also for it to match. All right guys, that took forever. It's not hard doing all the little wiring and the LED lights, it just takes a lot of time. It's a lot of pieces to run and a lot of wires to tuck away. You cover a lot of real estate with these kits and the amount of wiring you have. We went ahead and just snipped all of the zip ties, all the cable ties. It's all tucked away real nicely. Looks good. I think we're about ready to plug it in and see if it even works. And it should run, should. Keyword. All right, fuse is going back in, which means the steps will be operational. I heard noises. Let's go! That looks a bit better?
Oh yeah.
All right, moment of truth because Mom isn't here. She's on FaceTime. Hello, Mom.
Hello.
I installed something on the truck for you so you can actually ride with us now. Here you go.
Yeah. Wow. I love it.
You love it?
I love it.
Look at that one trying to get in.
Oh, nice, Mika.
Even Mika can get in there.
Yep.
Excellent.
Look at him go.
Very good.
You think you can get in the truck now, Nana?
Yeah, I don't mind getting in that truck anymore.
Like it?
Thank you, Dad.
What's up, you guys? It's been a week. We've had these steps on the truck, and I apologize. Just getting home from work, obviously, but I want to get this video finished and start editing and upload it for you guys so you can enjoy how wonderful these steps are as well. I will say that I was a little bit worried about the visual appearance of the truck with steps on it. That's why we went for these very inconspicuous steps that are fully functional. I would actually argue are more functional than any other step on the market. The reason being, when they deploy, they don't just deploy down, but they deploy down and out. So the actual functionality of it is significantly greater than any other fixed step out there. But just having this little cool thing that just by itself tucks right up.
Hey!
It's great, isn't it? By the way, you have chocolate all over your face. So there's obviously a lot of really cool functions with these steps. Every time you open a door, because it is connected to the OBD2 port, the control module knows when the door is open, what side it's opening on. And also, it gives you about 5 seconds from closing the door to pulling the steps back under the truck. These also do, yes? These steps also do have anti-pinch technology, which personally as a parent, I do appreciate because these kids have been crawling around these steps all week long ever since we installed them. And it's actually really convenient because our oldest can now climb into the truck by himself and get himself in the seat without us lifting him into the vehicle. So that's a huge win in itself. But as we indicated at the beginning of this video and story, my wonderful mother-in-law now has agreed to join us in the Lonestar Hawaiian Trail Boss now that we do in fact have a way to get her into the truck that she's very thrilled about. She literally hates this truck to death because of the height, and our recent obvious modifications have not helped in that fact, but this now solves everything. Well, that's about gonna do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, if you like the AMP Research steps, be sure to scroll down and hit that thumbs up button below. Helps me out, helps the channel out, helps us continue to grow. A big mahalos to REALTRUCK for helping this video come to life today. Definitely check them out, guys. REALTRUCK.com. I'll have links in the description below for all the products we saw in today's video, as well as miscellaneous other modifications on the truck. We will catch you in a few days for our next video. Until that day comes, as always, y'all take care. Ahui ho. Aloha.
Wow!
My neighbors think I'm insane. I don't disagree with them.